Hey there. Thought I'd hop on here for a moment and talk about a leadership principle and skill called thinking big. And this is a skill that all leaders need to consider and think about when leading. And these are lessons I've learned after reading John Maxwell's books, Thinking for a Change, and some of his other books about leadership. And I just connect with what Maxwell has to say on this. Uh, so if you're going to think, and if you've got to think big, anyhow. So, why are some people successful? What is it that makes someone a success? We see the success on the front, but we don't always know or actually begin to recognize what goes in to being successful. But on this, why are some people successful? Successful people get better opportunities. Okay. Is it education or experience that makes all the difference? I'd say it's a combination of the two. Look, leaders have got to be lifelong learners. You just can't become a leader. I'm on the side of the equation that says leaders are developed, leaders are made. Are there certain qualities or are there certain characteristics that are inherent that you're just born with? Perhaps. But I think everybody has the opportunity, has the capacity to become a leader. It just takes development, it takes time. Leaders are lifelong learners. So I think it's a combination of education and experience and characteristics that help making all the difference. Some people think that failure just results from bad breaks. I didn't get the right client. I didn't get the right opportunity. I wasn't elected for the position. I wasn't selected or hired into that company. Oh, it took me longer here. No, bad breaks, look, they're going to happen to everybody. Everyone is going to have a bad break. Here's the essence, though. It only remains a failure if, back to the education, you don't learn from it. You've got to learn from the mistakes. You've got to learn from the failures. Successful people are supported. Okay. Yes. You know what? Successful people do have support. This is sometimes the thing we don't see. We, the public, don't always see the support that's helping a leader to be successful. Lazy people don't succeed. This is a given. If you're going to be lazy, if you're just going to sit on the sidelines, if you're going to be apathetic, success isn't going to come your way. The opportunities aren't going to come your way. You've got to get out there and do something. And here's something else. Successful people have time to think. You've got to make time to sit down and think. When you're always going, 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 you actually get into a pattern of being reactionary. That something happens and you got to react to it. You come up to the next obstacle, you got to get over it. Successful people take time to think. They think about thinking. They take time to strategize. They take time to be logical and to think through and be creative and think about scenarios. Successful people are doing the what if all the time. So, what type of thinking leads to success then? Small picture thinking or big picture thinking? Scattered thinking or focused thinking? Restrictive thinking, bound up in a box, or creative thinking, blowing the box up? Realistic thinking or fantasy or dream thinking? Limited thinking or possibility thinking? Popular opinion thinking or innovative thinking? And my response to this is both and. Both and. There's a time and a place for each of these types of thinking. Okay. You can't just constantly creating ideas without getting the action plan, creating the strategy. But you can't get so bogged down in the details and the weeds that you can't dream a little bit. There's a time and a place for both styles of thinking. So you've got to make sure you set aside the right amount of time. You got to make sure that you're setting aside this time to think, to dream, to grow, to expand. One thing separates those who got to the top from those who never seem to get there: good thinking. Okay, thinking, big picture thinking, focused thinking, strategic thinking, logical thinking, good thinking all the way around, great thinking. This is the thing that gets people to the top and separates them from the folks who just never seem to get there. Good thinking creates the foundation for good results. One of the reasons people don't achieve their dreams is that they desire the change. They desire something different, a new result, without changing their thinking. Look, the same old thinking is going to get you the same old results. It was once said, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Look, if you're going to do it the same way, if you or your organization are stuck in, we've always done it this way, you're always in the box, you're always going to be in the box. You're never going to get outside of the box. You're never going to grow and expand. Leaders look for vision. Leaders look for opportunities. They look for what's next. They see what's coming down the pipeline before others are even aware that they're in the pipeline. Leaders are thinkers. Leaders need to be advanced of the line. They need to be thinking ahead. They need to be in the strategies of what's next. Look, managers take care of the status quo. Leaders push the vision. Good thinking increases your potential. It just, the more you think and the more possibilities you can dream up, the further your potential is going to go. Don't get bogged down in doing it one way. There are many ways to accomplish the situation before you. There are many solutions to the problem that sits before you. You've got to dream them up, brainstorm. This is such a great activity that we don't do enough of anymore. See, we want the right answer right now so that we can implement it. And the right answer better get us the results we're looking for. See, we're afraid to fail these days. We make failure not an option to the point of paralysis. Some people get into analysis paralysis, meaning they just want to keep looking at the data and the information before them, and they never want to get to the action step. They never want to get to the decision plan. So they're constantly looking at data and they get into what we call analysis paralysis. They get stuck. They can't move on. But good thinking increases your potential. Good thinking pushes out of that boundary. It gets you to the next step. Progress is often just one good idea away. You know, the power of the next thing, the power of one more. It's the next thing that could happen. You could be one good idea away from blowing up your organization exponentially. But if you get stuck in the analysis paralysis, you never see it. You get so bogged down in the weeds, you never see what's around you. So what are the behaviors of the big thinker? They see the wisdom of the big picture thinking. They can look at the large picture. They can see that, sometimes we call it 30,000-foot view. They can see all of the pieces. They unleash the potential of focused thinking. See, we got to take it, the big picture, we got to begin to narrow it down into focused thinking. There is potential and there is power in focused thinking. They discover the joy of creative thinking. Just taking that opportunity to just give in to all of the opportunities, to all of the possibilities, to do all of the what if scenarios. They are releasing the power of strategic thinking. And as we move down from big picture to focus to creative, we begin to create the strategies that are going to move the organization forward. See, sometimes people want to, when they're in the big picture thinking phase, want to begin limiting. They want to begin critically removing the idea that seems too far-fetched. That's not the stage to do that. The stage to begin to do that is as we begin to move into strategic thinking. That's when we start to put what is actually possible for us as an organization into play. They feel the power and energy of possibility thinking when they're sitting there with their group and they're thinking about the various possibilities that are out there, the opportunities, and they see those opportunities as potential, as power. Embracing the lessons learned in reflective thinking, sitting down and evaluating, assessing, reflecting on, learning from the ideas you put into place, taking that moment to actually understand what the learning was. Questioning the acceptance of popular opinion thinking. The pot, popular opinion thinking. The pot will sometimes burn, okay? The acceptance of popular opinion thinking. Too many people are worried about what everybody else thinks rather than what they think and what they know. And so I challenge you to question the acceptance of popular opinion thinking. Just because everyone else is doing it doesn't always make it right. So take a moment and actually think about what is considered popular opinion. What is in the pot? Because sometimes what is in the pot is not worth eating. Encouraging the participation of shared thinking. As a leader who develops leaders, you've got to develop leaders who think. You got to develop leaders who have critical, creative thinking skills that are so necessary to advance an organization. Sometimes the quiet one is the one who's thinking it through on your team. And sometimes what they have to say may come in sound bites or come infrequently, but it is so profound with what they have to say. But you've got to encourage shared thinking. Get everybody on the team thinking about what it is you're working on. Enjoying the return of bottom line thinking, okay, the profits that come, the success that comes with that return of the bottom line thinking. So there you have it, a little bit of thinking big. I encourage you to challenge your team members to think big. Encourage the leaders you're working with, encourage the leaders that you are developing to think big and to go one step further. What would push the boundary that one step further? I thank you for taking a little bit of time here and developing yourself. Hopefully something I've said has sparked a little bit of intrigue or interest, and that I hope to hear from you soon. Thank you, and I look forward to talking to you.